There were many empires in West Africa, the Empire of Congo, Benin, which is where the Benin bronzes come from, but most famously the Empire of Mali, where the University of Timbuktu was located. And in most of these empires and most of these societies and kingdoms, even the ones where literacy was widespread, like the Empire of Mali, or relatively widespread for its time, there was a character that we called a griot. The griot is a genealogist, is a praise singer, is a historian, is a political advisor, is a musician, is a singer. And the griots were essentially also storytellers. They kept the history of the kingdom, and they would recite and perform poems that were 3, 4, 5 hours long. In case that feels like an exaggeration, one of my good friends, Sona Jabate, her granddad, was one of the last great griots in a lineage of griots going back hundreds of years, and he himself knew poems that were 4 or 5 hours long. Some of these poems have been translated into English, so you can buy a copy of the Malian epic of Sunjata, which dates from the 13th or 14th century, from the founding of the Malian kingdom by Sunjata Keita, and was recorded by griots and passed down by griots, and you can now buy a translation of that. And so when you have some understanding of the kind of instrumentation that existed in Africa, of the kinds of different societies that were there, of the complexity of caste-based societies, of the training griots went through. So according to the Ghanaian scholar Ayi Kweyama, griots went through 21 years of training. 7 years for singing, 7 years for speech, 7 years for instrumentation. So it wasn't no easy job. You weren't a real griot until you were 42. So you started at 21, became an official griot at 42. So there was a level of musical and cultural sophistication in the kingdoms of West Africa that is usually not appreciated. And this obviously feeds into, just like the culture of any group of people, feeds into the music of the African diaspora.